Good morning, everyone. Kerry Jeffrey from Emotional Autoimmunity coming to you with my regular Friday Live. And in these Friday Lives, what I'm trying to do is to talk about common issues that come along with the emotional side of chronic illness. For those of you who don't know me, I am a clinical hypnotherapist, counsellor and life coach, and I'm based in Melbourne, Australia. I work with people exclusively online all around the world, helping to create therapy solutions for the complex emotional issues that come along with becoming chronically ill. And I myself live with 3 autoimmune conditions, so Hashimoto's, celiac disease and antiphospholipid syndrome. And just over 5 years ago, I was physically and cognitively disabled and unable to work for a good 12 months. So it's been a process since then of building my life back to where it is now and building my health back to where it is now. And of course, like many of you out there, at the time I was diagnosed, I didn't know what was possible for me, and I didn't know what my future was going to be. So there was a lot of anxiety. So anxiety I found very, very different when I became chronically ill. Prior to that, I had lived with a certain amount of anxiety from early in my teenage years and even as a younger child. And I think a lot of that was part of being a highly sensitive person who is also very empathic. So I was very easily affected by the emotional energy and feelings of other people. And when I became chronically ill, the anxiety was very different. So what was happening was that I was experiencing what I called rolling panic attacks. So I'd had panic attacks in the past and I'd learned how to manage them over the years, to the point where I really didn't get them anymore. And if I ever did get them, the techniques that I had taught myself worked. So it was no longer an issue where it used to be a very big issue for me. But with the anxiety attacks that I was experiencing, when my body reserves were so low with the chronic illness, probably because my thyroid hormone levels were so incredibly low that it was difficult for my body to function, it was like an organic anxiety. It was almost like my body crying out for help, or my body being in a panic state because it was, seriously compromised. At least that's what it felt like to me, because nothing that I did could touch it. None of the techniques that I had trained myself so well to use did anything to it. Basically, it just grabbed me and shook me, and I had to wait until it was over and just get it through. And in fact, the only thing that got me through the worst of that anxiety was a hypnotherapy MP3 that I had recorded back in the day when I had my other website, which was called Love Transforms LC for life coaching, that I was selling on that site, which that recording no longer exists. But that was the only thing that actually enabled me to relax my body and my mind enough to help myself get out of that anxiety state, or at least relieve it and make it so much better. And there were some days when I listened to it 5 times a day just to manage the anxiety, and it was, as I said, the only thing that helped. Now, if that is something that you're interested in trying, I do have my relaxed hypnotherapy bundle on my Emotional Autoimmunity website, and it contains about 35-40 minute hypnotherapy recording, which I have now specifically designed for to relax you when you've got chronic illness. So everything that I've learned through my experience, I've added into that. So it's got beautiful slow ocean waves in it. It's incredibly relaxing. So many people tell me how it helps them get to sleep. But you can also listen to it in the daytime, just lay down and listen to it. Or if you're bed bound, you can listen to it, and it's going to help your body relax. It's going to help your mind relax. And when we are relaxed, what happens is that inflammation levels go down, because stress is a main factor in inflammation levels, and it's very important to reduce that. And it also contains an ebook giving you my top tips on how to manage the mindset, right? And this does tie into what I'm talking about today, because managing your mind and having the right skills and having the right tools to use is a very important factor in emotionally managing your anxiety, because most of the anxiety that we have comes from the way we are interpreting our environment and the things that could happen to us. So in many cases, most of the anxiety we are creating is self-inflicted. So it's jumping into all of those what-if stories. So what if this gets worse? What if my relationship breaks up? What if I become more disabled? What if I lose my job? What if we lose our home? All of those scary stories, because our mind literally believes everything we think. And when we think those thoughts, our subconscious mind provides all of the biochemical reactions that go along with that. So your stress levels will go up. If you're imagining something terrible happening to somebody that you love, it will create all of the emotions. So you'll end up crying, you'll end up feeling all of the grief at something that's not actually happening, because that's the way that our minds work. So you get that in an ebook, which will give you all the tools, and you also get it in an audiobook, because sometimes, brain fog, you're reading the same line over and over again and you can't comprehend it. And so that's only $25 Australian, so you can pop over to the website and buy that. It's going to be very useful for you if you're having trouble relaxing, if you're having trouble sleeping, and if anxiety is an issue for you. Now, anxiety, like all other signals and emotions in our body, are a signal to pay attention to something that is going on. So when we're anxious, it's a signal to say, pay attention, there's something in this environment that is dangerous, right? And as I said, our mind can't tell the difference between something we're thinking about or something we're imagining and something that's actually true and really going on, which is why worry is such a powerful negative thing, because these worry stories create a reaction. They create all of the feelings that would come about if that experience was actually true and real and happening right now. So there is one particular type of anxiety that is a very useful signal, and you might have experienced this yourself. And I was talking with a client about this the other day, that it had been having an impact on her that week. So this sort of worry is this underlying feeling that you've forgotten something. You've forgotten something important, or there's something that you needed to do that you can't remember. And it's this low level, just sort of worry that I've forgotten something. I needed to do something. It was something important. It was something important. I've forgotten to do something. It was something important. Now, this type of anxiety is a signal that's telling you that at the moment you have way too much stuff to do. So you have become overwhelmed, or you are going way beyond your energy reserves, or you have overcommitted yourself. So if you experience this type of anxiety, it's a really good idea to look at what you are doing or what you are trying to do, or the goals that you have set for yourself, and start taking all of the non-essential things off the list, because you are feeling anxious because your brain is trying to hang on to all of these urgent things that you are telling yourself need to be done, because you have overcommitted yourself, or you're taking on way too much, or you're expecting too much of yourself, and your brain is literally becoming overloaded with the stress of that, because you just can't manage it all. You can't get it all done. If you do try and get it all done, you're going to continue to exhaust yourself. So this type of worry and this type of anxiety also comes along with a warning from the body that your energy, you're overextending yourself and your energy reserves. And that's got all of those danger signals flashing. So when you experience that type of anxiety, and I know because I still get this, and the minute I get that feeling that, oh my God, That's usually the evening. I've forgotten something. It's something important I needed to do. The underlying feeling of sort of dread or something like that. And then immediately I'm going to check in with my energy and think, yeah, okay, I'm overdoing. I'm way too tired. My brain is not functioning well. So the next few days, I'm going to review what I'm doing, and I'm only going to do the essentials, and everything else just has to get left undone. So you've got to simplify, you've got to just do the essential things, and you've got to actually rest. So that is exactly what I do. So rest. You've got to make time for that. You've got to commit to that. It's got to be an essential. I know a lot of you be saying, oh, but I don't have time to rest. Well, you've got to make the time. Something's got to go. You've got to make the time to rest, or you are not going to be able to operate at the level that you want to operate at, and eventually you're going to crash and you're going to head into a flare. And when you crash into a flare, there's going to be an extended period of time that you're not going to be able to do anything. And so it's a really good investment. So many people that I work with chronic illness get in this cycle, right? So the cycle goes like this. I put time into recovery. I start feeling really good. I get more energy. I overexert myself. I use all of the energy and I crash, right? And then recovery time, build myself up, get more energy, use up all the energy, crash. Now, if you recognize that you are stuck in this cycle, it's because you are not managing your energy. And when you have chronic illness, it's really important to manage your energy, not your time. So I know the temptation when you actually have a day or an hour when you're feeling pretty good compared to how you normally feel, and you want to do all the things. So you have a big day and you clean and you do this and you do that, and you go to bed and you wake up the next morning and you feel horrendous and you feel right back to where you were before. And then you feel really discouraged, and then you start thinking things like, what's the point? What's the point of doing this? What's the point of eating differently? What's the point of doing, making all of these changes when it's not getting me anywhere? Well, it is getting you somewhere. But what's happening is that you are not only taking all of the energy reserves from your energy bank that you built up, you're actually going into deficit. And so your body needs time to rebound from that. So let's go back over what I've just mentioned, all right? Anxiety is a signal that there is something going on, right? There is something happening. You're either doing too much, there is something happening in your thought process, you're spending time scaring yourself. And if you want to know more about that, head over to my Emotional Autoimmunity YouTube channel, because that's the live that I did last week, and you can learn more about that there, and all of my videos are there, including now from last week I started doing a video version of my podcast as well that you can watch over there if you prefer to watch videos rather than listen to the podcast. So anxiety is always a signal, right, that something is going on, whether it's self-created through the thought process where you're scaring yourself, whether you're just overextending or doing too much, or whether you don't feel safe. Anxiety is basically about, I don't feel safe. I don't feel physically safe. I don't feel emotionally safe. I don't feel safe emotionally. So there's different forms of anxiety, but under it all, they're all telling you, pay attention, you don't feel safe. There's something going on. I also talked about that you can head over to my website. In my products, you can get my Relaxed Hypnotherapy Bundle. If you are having trouble relaxing, if you are, stuck in worry, if you are stuck in, a state of high anxiety, it was honestly, hand on my heart, though not this version, this is actually a better version because I've updated it and given myself exactly what I would have wanted right then. What I used then was good enough to get me through the rolling anxiety attacks that I was experiencing at the worst of my illness, which nothing else that I did could fix or stop. And this one is even better, so I've added in a whole lot of things. And again, it's only $25 Australian. you can just buy it and purchase it. Do download it to your computer though. If you're getting it, don't try and download it to your phone or a tablet. It will not hold. You've got to download the files to your computer, and from then you can do what you want with it, but it's got to be downloaded to a computer. I talked about the fact that there is a certain type of anxiety that goes along with this low-level feeling of I've forgotten something important. I've forgotten something important. There's something I was supposed to do that I didn't do. So that anxiety is a signal that you have too much to do, right? So you're setting your expectations too high. You are overwhelming yourself, and your brain is telling you through this anxiety that you cannot physically cope with that. So when you get that anxiety, you've got to look at that, and you've got to look at all the things you're expecting of yourself, and you've got to drop things off the list and only do the essential things that need to be done. So take a few things off that list, and you will find over the next few days that anxiety will just start to dissolve, because things become manageable again and your brain can cope with it. So the other thing that I talked about during this live is that when you have chronic illness, you can easily get into this cycle of recovery, getting more energy, overextending and crashing. And that just goes on and on and on. So recovery phase, feeling better, using up all your energy, crash, flare, recovery phase again. If you recognize yourself in that, you have to manage your energy. It's just that another sign that you still need to adapt to the fact that you have chronic illness. Just because you feel good for a day or a week or an hour, do not go using up all that precious energy. Do some things that you enjoy. Get a couple of essential things done, but don't expend all of your energy, or you are going to end up back in that cycle. So I hope this has been useful for you. I will be seeing you again next Friday, same day, same time, with another topic. And you can watch this if you're watching this on the replay. If you've got any questions, please ask them. And I'll also be uploading this to my Emotional Autoimmunity YouTube channel. So have a great day, guys, and bye for now.